All right, we have a Lowrance HDS 9 Gen 3 on the bench. Customer complaint is Sonar is not working. I guess this unit, he was out on the water, stopped reading depth, and then Sonar stopped working. I guess he said he got a black screen with horizontal lines or something like that. So it leads me to believe maybe it's CPU card related or something like that. I tested this. It was in demo mode when I got it, so I took it out of simulation mode, demo mode, and the unit seems to be working except for Sonar. So GPS seems okay. I can go through menus, things like that. So let's take this apart and see what's going on with it. We're just doing some very basic troubleshooting here. We have a parts HDS 9 Gen 3 board with a good CPU card. So what we did is we just took the CPU card out of the unit we're working on. We swapped it with the good CPU card just to kind of take that out of the equation, just to see. I have a feeling that it might be the CPU card, but that'll be a quick way for us to determine if it is in fact the card or not. If it's not the card, we know that we have to look into the Sonar section of the board more in depth, and that's where we'll narrow our search down. If Sonar does work, when we do this, we'll know that it's CPU card related. We can go ahead and work on this card, or we could just give the one I replaced a really good test, make sure that it is good to go because it did come out of a parts unit. If it is good, then we'd consider this done. But let's see. Let's see here. Okay, Sonar is not working still, so it's not the CPU card. So we'll put the original CPU card back in, and then we'll start troubleshooting the Sonar section of the board, see what's going on, make sure we're getting our proper voltages and figure out what's going on from there. Make sure we're getting our 55 volts on that side of the board. All right. Okay, so we're looking at the back side of the board. Take a look at this. It's getting super hot. Alright, so we're going to turn this off and figure out what's going on here. Okay, so what we noticed on this unit here is we were getting some heat from the back side of the board from these two transistors here. And also this chip here. This is actually an ARM processor, believe it or not. I'm not too sure. I haven't really delved into the function of this side of the board yet. But I assume since this unit powers up okay, and the only thing not functioning was the sonar, that this does some sonar processing, like some pre-processing, something like that, um, before the sonar data heads off to the CPU card. Again, just my assumption. I don't have anything to back that up with. Again, I haven't done any sort of reversing or anything on this side of the circuit yet, but that's what I assume this chip is used for. I did reflow, or I did flow this chip into place. I took it off of this is the old chip. I took it off of a donor board. The reason why I felt this chip was bad, not this one, but the one I took off, is these two transistors were heating up, and this processor was heating up like crazy. I removed one transistor, still heating up. Removed the other transistor, still heating up. Checked resistance between all leads of this transistor. Excuse me. And I was getting about a 50 ohm short to ground. So, I think it was the collector. I don't remember off the top of my head. This was actually yesterday. This is another day. I went from the collector and then just took the ohm meter in continuity mode and ran it across these pins and noticed that several pins were connected. So obviously there's a relationship here between this circuit and this processor. So what I think happens is the sonar is connected to some other discrete components and passive components, go into this transistor, these two transistors, which are amplifiers, from what I could gather. And the signal is amplified because what's coming out of a transducer is a very low signal. So it needs to be amplified in order to be interpreted and processed by this ARM processor. So I think that's what's happening. In any case, I found these were connected electronically, right? So I popped this chip off and my short went away. So that 50 ohms jumped up to like 2K or something like that. So I knew that chip was shorted internally. That chip was bad. So I took the chip off a donor board. I flowed it onto this board. And Sonar still isn't working. So I'm going to go back and just, because I did just reflow it, I didn't solder it by hand. I'm going to check these connections and I'm going to go ahead and solder this chip by hand just to make sure that every single pin is perfect. And I'm hoping that maybe reflowing it, maybe a couple pins weren't properly soldered or something like that. So that's what I hope. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to resolder this chip here. Make sure the position is perfect. I can tell that when I reflowed, this side is nearly perfect, but it could be bumped a tad bit. So I might actually heat the chip up and bump it up a little bit, then resolder it. So that's the plan. That's what we're going to do. Hopefully that resolves the issue. If it doesn't, we're going to have to look more deeply into the circuit here. We do have a good parts board we could salvage parts from, luckily. Okay, so this unit is working perfectly. It's all set. Notified the customer. They're super happy. So what we did, just to recap, we found some heat coming off the bottom side of the board. There's a couple of transistors getting real hot. There is an ST. This is actually a 32F427 ARM microprocessor. It's a Cortex-m4 core processor. I believe this is what interprets the sonar signals and does all the pre-processing for the sonar. We replaced that chip, and we are back in business. Awesome. Basically did a sonar brain transplant for this customer, and it worked out perfectly. We're just gonna go ahead and clean up the back of the case, kind of dirty. Normal use type stuff. So while we have it here, before we invoice out, we're just gonna clean the back of the case up, make it look nice and as new as possible for the customers. If anybody has any fish finders, Lowrance, Humminbird, Garmin, any electronic repairs. We don't just do fish finders, we do all electronics, but we are happy to work on fish finders. Give us a call, 1-800-517-9101, or you can go to the website, which is probably the fastest. You want to get your unit directly here, rudolphrepairs.com. That's www.rudolphrepairs.com. Click on the mail-in section, and that'll give you instructions how to get it to us. You can shoot us an email if you'd like. That's rudolphrepairs@gmail.com. And I'll talk to you soon, guys.